Everyone, welcome to today's video. Welcome to the Video Game Fight School channel. Thank you so much for tuning in. Today we're turning our sights on Gotham Knights and its absence from the Video Game Awards. Now, a lot of people's skepticism has increased even more because of this. Now, I'm not saying that we're entitled as fans or an audience or a community to anything, but I think expectations had already been set a while ago, and it seems like right now keeping up with the expectations are not necessarily the best things that, Warner Brothers Games Montreal's marketing is doing at the moment. Now, like I said, I always try my best to make a dichotomy between the developers and the marketing arm of things. Marketing usually has a lot more direct pull from the corporate side of things than developers do. So developers are working with what they have. So I want to make sure that we respect that in this conversation. Well, here we go. The Video Game Fight School Awards. I said the Video Game Fight School Awards. Yeah, I wish I had a Video Game Fight School Awards. The Video Game Awards have been pretty much passed, and we saw the Suicide Squad game. It had a gameplay trailer. It had a lot more information just from the visuals that we got to see. And that was quite exciting. It was nice for us to see one of the villains, even though we had already seen him in the past, which was Flash, and also, Superman as well, in some little tidbits. The way that they kind of did it was kind of hidden with Easter eggs. So you can go back to the trailer and look at it. You could also see Brainiac and all of his nonsense going on. But I thought, at any rate, we were probably going to be seeing something on Gotham Knights because Suicide Squad was on the scene. And the reason I thought so is not unfounded, and I'm sure many other people thought so as well while watching the Video Game Awards, it's because Suicide Squad and Gotham Knights have been showcased pretty much hand in hand at almost every juncture. I mean, think about the DC Fandom event from 2020. The first time we ever got to see the Gotham Knights game was right there. We saw a gameplay or pre-alpha gameplay reveal. I think that was one of the very first things that, was showcased. I think there were two. There was a regular trailer, a reveal trailer, and then we got to see that 7-minute gameplay with Patrick Redding, the creative director, and, doing a narrative on pretty much what the game was about. And so it was quite nice. Everybody was excited. The audience and the community were really stoked about all of what was going on. And then to top it all off, we got to see the Suicide Squad game. So everyone expected that these two games, because of the way they had been announced, one was going to be coming out before the other, only to hear that, the Gotham Knights game was going to get a delay after it had been promised that it was going to be coming out, pretty much this year. Now, what would you think, basically, if you were to kind of witness all of this? You would have thought that the Gotham Knights game will be coming out before the Suicide Squad game. But then for the Video Game Awards to show up and the Suicide Squad game to be looking more and more like a product that's nearing a finishing phase while the Gotham Knights game is absent, then there is cause for concern. And I don't think gamers are being concerned or being worried or even in a sense disappointed out of thin air. I think it's disappointed because the expectations set so far don't seem to be met or are not being followed through, whereas Rocksteady, because of their experience, because of their time, and because of their veteran nature, I think they understand what it is that they've been going into. And I think Rocksteady has some sort of a motto of just not saying too much and just showing a lot of what it is that they have. I think this comes from maybe the personality of the leadership, that's pretty much out there. I mean, if you guys remember a few years ago, I think it was 2019 or 2018 Game Awards, the director of Rocksteady, I can't even remember his name right now, he put something on Twitter and said, we're not going to the Game Awards and we don't have Superman. We're not making a Superman game. This was when some rumors came out that they were making a Superman game. And he said, whenever we're ready to show you, what we have, we will show you guys. And this is it right here. We are here and they have something and they're showing it to us. In terms of Gotham Knights, they started doing all these little teases and, with the t-shirt, that was the very first thing that we saw. And then we saw some art leak, from ArtStation, from some artists that, had somewhat worked on the Gotham Knights game. And so fans were kind of excited. These teases are really nice to have, but behind them, I feel like should be some method of communication or some substance in terms of communication. And so what's happened right now is this has created for fans some level of uncertainty. A lot of people right now find themselves in a position where they're saying that it seems Gotham Knights might be delayed. Now, here is why I think people might be correct in terms of this analysis. It's very simple. Gotham Knights is a game that is actually emphasizing 4 main characters that you're going to have to play over the course of the game. Now, let's compare that to other superhero games that have taken, far minimal development time than, say, the Warner Brothers DC games. And you can look very closely to Spider-Man. You see, Insomniac was able to quickly do a turnaround on multiple Spider-Man games in such a short period of time. Granted, one of the Spider-Man games was a remaster. I mean, that's kind of certain, right? If you played the, Spider-Man 2018, Insomniac was able to make pretty much a remaster of that game using a different voice actor and, should I say voice actor or a different actor in general to pretty much rerun the whole game, remaster it, give it a higher fidelity, higher frame rate. And then just as they were doing that, they were able to also deliver another small, shorter Spider-Man game, but a whole fresh new take on Spider-Man himself. So I guess it goes to say that possibly Insomniac might be a really solid studio, or if you're making a single player game that's centered around one particular character, it appears things are easier to execute. And I think that's where we are, because right now they're promising another Spider-Man game in the next few years. I mean, less than 2 years. I mean, from today, we're already in December of 2021. If everything, continues to stay as is, I think Insomniac will be able to deliver another Spider-Man game in less than 2 years, and then potentially deliver the Wolverine game in about 2 years. That is insane. Now, I'm not saying that this is an expectation we should have for Warner Brothers Games Montreal. In fact, what I'm emphasizing is Gotham Knights being a game, that's emphasizing 4 main characters probably carries multiple times the difficulty for them to be able to get a game like that out. I've mentioned this in the past in multiple videos, and now we're at the precipice where it seems Rocksteady had spent and invested a lot of their time in developing their game and having a better direction as to where they were going or something, or maybe they're just ahead in terms of the way that they wanted to implement things. If you have maybe a multiplayer game with 4 different characters, that's kind of in a sense different, because you're going to be structuring all those different characters in a way that it probably works for them to be able to be used by different people in the context of a, group or party that are going to go, achieve these missions. So there is also that. So that's probably why they've spent, the past 6 years just working on that. Whereas Warner Brothers Games Montreal has, in my opinion, reached a place where some of its own games or ideas have been scrapped, and then things have been started and kicked off back again. And now we're in the place where they have to execute this huge story-driven game with 4 different characters that are super unique in the way that they all play. And I think this is where the difficulty is coming into play. Now, I may be wrong. There might be other factors like these mergers and all of the business side of things that could be affecting a lot of what's going on. But because of the secrecy of the gaming industry, we're kind of left in the dark unless we're told something. And even many times, leaks don't really help anyways, because they don't give us the full picture that would maybe, in a sense, allow for fans to be able to understand a lot more of what's going on. And I think if you add all of these together, you add the fact that expectations were set and not met. You add to the fact that another game that is under the DC banner is being developed and is showing more promise. And I'm not speaking of a Wonder Woman here. I'm speaking of the, Suicide Squad game. I think all of this kind of lends to the point where I think Warner Brothers Games Montreal needs to start to come to terms with the possibility that they really need to come out and address all of these, so-called lags in communication whenever it is that they start speaking. I don't think they could just show up from nowhere anymore now and start showing some really cool stuff on Twitter or whatever. I think they really need to kind of bring their very best foot forward. I don't want to be an alarmist to say that the game is going to be delayed, but I think people who are saying the game is going to be delayed may be onto something, because if the game is, in a sense, more progressed than we saw in the fandom event in October, then what's there not to show? Or maybe they're just busy and they didn't have time to put together something for us at the Video Game Awards. I guess I can respect that. But again, I want to just wait and see how things go. I don't want to go ahead and write off this delivery for 2022 that they've promised. I really would love to see something like that. It would be nice to get both of them in 2022, if you get what I mean. I mean, sure, we could get one, but it provides options for other people who are fans. And I think this is something that everyone is kind of hoping to happen, because there are people who just solely want to play Gotham Knights. They don't care much about the Suicide Squad game. Well, while there are people who would love to play both. I want to play both, and I would love for both of them to basically drop in the same year, so that we can at least make up for all those years, or so that Warner Brothers or whoever it is could make up for all those years of, drought that we've had in the superhero genre from the DC side. But I would love to hear your thoughts in the comment section. Do you think that the Gotham Knights game is going to be delayed, or do you think it's a game that, right now the developers are just working really hard, and when they have something, like they always say, they'll show us? Talk to me in the comment section. Peace out.